The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Whether you're new to sales or a lifetime veteran, the Blackbelt Sales Podcast will sharpen your sword and guide you to master the art of sales. And now, here's your host, the ninja himself, Gene Slade.
Welcome back to this episode of the Blackbelt Sales Podcast. This morning, we're talking about the benefits of having a pre-planned presentation. In other words, knowing what you're going to say word for word walking into the house, or knowing exactly how you're going to respond word to word to any of the challenges that a customer may give you, any of the objections that they might give you. And Don, one of my favorite parts about a pre-planned presentation is the ability that it gives us to see those cues that we otherwise don't see if we are accessing information in our brain, maybe looking up and to the left or down to the right. You miss out on the body language cues when it comes to a sale. Yes or no?
Absolutely. When you're more worried about yourself, because I don't know what to say, we're listening to figure out what to say next versus I'm actually listening to the person and hearing what they're saying. And I'm reading their body language. I'm reading their the pupils, the eyes, the facial expressions. I loved it today on the call that Josh was talking about. He went through the list and hit several of the clients' hot buttons. He could just see it in their face. And that's because he had the list of negative effects, in this case, the negative effects memorized. He wasn't sitting there struggling with worrying about himself. He was all about the client. Congrats. That made a heck of a sale too.
Yeah, and it's so funny that call started out with him accessing or trying to gain permission to share any challenges that she might face in the future. Our famous question, should I find any deficiencies? And I'm not saying that I will. Would you like me to share them with you? And she literally said, she was like, don't give me any shit today. She's like, I don't care. I don't want to know. And then later he circled back, and we always train our guys whenever that happens to kind of repeat what the customer said. There's a point where we're gaining permission a second time, and he went back to her and he said, now, do you remember earlier when I asked you if I found any deficiencies, if you wanted me to share them with you, and you said not to give you any shit? She's like, yeah. He's like, do you still not want me to share any of that stuff with you? And she goes, go ahead. What's going on? And then I think that turned into like what, $13,000-$14,000.
Yeah, it was a great sale. It was an incredible sale. I think it went from doing just a couple of items to getting the whole duck system done. For it. Yep. So it was incredible. Good job.
We'll tell the nibbling story
Congrats,
a little
Josh.
bit later if we get to that little bonus. But guys, if you're watching us live, will you do me a huge favor? The fee for this show is just to put some comments down in the comments. So if you wouldn't mind, share with me where you're tuning in from. And if you're watching this live, will you just put live or an L down in the comments? And if you're watching it on a replay, just type replay or replay in the comments. I really, truly do appreciate that. So, Don, pre-planned process, pre-planned presentation enables us to see hidden cues and signals that we otherwise wouldn't see with a client. What are some of those things that we might pick up on? Some of those maybe hidden to a lot of people body language signals, if you will. Well, thank you, by the way, Joshua Garman. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, obviously, if you're not worried about yourself, then you can look at the big picture and not get all worried about what am I going to say next. So you're going to read their body language. Are they standoff? Are they leaning forward? Are they smiling? Do they have that smile all the way in their eyes as well? That smile that's true and genuine. You're going to see, again, the total tone of closed off or open that goes with it. But also, even past that, if you're got a pre-planned presentation, and it sounds like guys like, oh, I'll never do that. That makes me sound like a robot. That's not the case. once you get this so on autopilot, you're not having to worry about yourself. You can then concentrate on them. And you might notice things around their house that tells you things about them. Bottles of water, if you're going to talk water filtration system,
Dress
big
laundry
stack of,
detergent.
yeah. So all the other items, hey, standalone HEPAs, how many times you go in and see the little Glade plugins or whatever plug-in in the wall? Why would they have those in the wall? Those are great candidates for indoor air quality because, again, they want that clean, fresh smell.
And do those actually freshen the air? No, they don't. All they do is put chemicals into the air that are not good for us and toxic. I mean, would you drink that stuff, guys? Ladies and gentlemen, would you drink a plug-in? If not, why would you want to breathe it? If you can smell it, is it already inside of you? Have you ever done any research on the negative side effects of breathing that stuff in? Or hell, even candles, burning candles in your house. Do you know what that causes? If not, you might want to go to the Google and figure it out.
Right. Well, just noticing if someone's house is meticulous, well cleaned, that they care about their appearance or their home's appearance, and they clean that says a lot about how they're going to react when they see all the nasty that might be in their ductwork or the nasty that's in their water. All of those things, you can become aware of what might be a priority to this client and how that will play into. If you're not having a pre-planned presentation, again, for what we do is if you've not scripted out what you're going to say, then you're just a cowboy. And I mean by that is you're just kind of floating through life, and whatever they throw at you, you shoot it. They throw the app, I just react to it. And there are some people in this world that are very good at that and can make a living at it, but it's not something they can replicate, and it's not something they can teach to someone else, and it often limits them as high as they can go. I'll take talent. I certainly remember the kids in school when I was baseball coach of my son. There were kids that were very athletic, very talented kids, and they didn't have to do a whole lot. And the parents just cheered, wow, look at that kid. But over the years, that kid didn't develop. He didn't develop the fundamentals. He didn't develop how to actually handle and hit a curveball or how to handle the play properly because he never had to learn. And he got limited. And that's what I see with Cowboys is they look really good. Man, you just hear the people, oh, that guy just is a natural born salesperson. Well, there are some people out there that look like it, but without a process, they typically have a limitation. They'll never become the manager. They'll never become an owner. They'll never grow out of that one position they have because they don't have a process. So
you had the word replicate. You said the word replicate, and the word I had down was duplicate. And you hit on something really, really important. I want to talk to the guys out there that are A, the Cowboys, right? And B, the guys that are training people. So number one, Cowboys, those guys who are out there that can think on their feet really good, but you don't have a pre-planned process written down that could be trained to somebody else. Did you know that the real joy in your life is not going to come from how many sales you close, but from how you help other people? Like if you could take somebody and teach them to do what you do, would there be any joy in your life from teaching a man to fish as opposed to giving him fish? And some of you out there are really stingy with your process. You're afraid that if you share it with somebody that it's going to cost you something. You're right. If you don't share it with somebody, it's going to cost you even more though. Right. So I remember my dad telling me, Don, I had like 5 or 6 techs at the time when I started my first air conditioning company. And I was having a difficult time duplicating myself because I was the cowboy that you're talking about. I would come in, stand up in front of the crew in the morning and train them how to sell just with my words. But once I left, how much did they remember? Right. And I remember my dad saying, Gene, you've got to start writing some of this stuff down. Because if you write it down, you can teach it to people. And then one of my mentors was like, you are that cowboy. He called me an alien, Don, instead of a cowboy. Mm-hmm. He said, you and you expect all these other people to be aliens. How did they learn? They learned in school by memorizing stuff. So you've got to write your stuff down, and then they can memorize it, and then you can role play it with them. And that was what took us from where we were at to an extremely successful company where I didn't have to be in the field anymore.
That was the big part of my company. I always use the word leverage. Could be a very, very good salesperson for myself, but I felt like I could make hundreds of guys pretty close to what I am. And you've done that in your career. You're an incredible dynamic speaker, salesperson, but you've created thousands, if not maybe tens of thousands, but thousands of people who are really good because you've taught them. And that was my leverage. As a company, I had at one time 24 service techs, 6 comfort advisors. My job was to make sure they knew the process, knew how to handle objections. And if you're a guy out there that knows you're going to get an objection, I want to talk to the spouse, let me talk to my spouse, and you're not preparing for it, you're a cowboy whether you know it or not. That's a cowboy's attitude, is I know they're going to hit me with X. Let me think about it. Let me research it. Let me talk to the spouse. Your price is too high. And you're not sitting down in advance and developing what you're going to say. And you can, again, writing scripts, I've had to do it a lot. Every time I write a script, I say it, I improve it the next time. It can be improved, but you got to at least write the first draft.
Yeah.
There's no second draft till you get the first draft. So you're a cowboy if you know you're getting an objection and you're not planning for it. Now, that's the value of working with a trainer. Would be us, is that you can take the process someone else has gone through all that hours, years, even of developing a process, and you can just learn it quicker.
Yeah. Do you like, in order to get where we're at, Don, can you imagine what it would take somebody who is a business owner, even somebody who is a good salesperson, to take all that knowledge and get it to somebody else, like in the way that we do? It's just not going to be possible for 99.9% of the people. So guys, like Don's saying, you've got a choice. You can either spend the next 10, 15, 20 years chopping down trees, trying to create the road, or you can pay a toll to ride on somebody else's road, right? I'm going, not this weekend, but next weekend, I'm going down to Miami, and I'm taking a class through a company that sells event tickets, right? To, stuff like our events. Brittany and I are going down there for 3 days, and we're paying thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to go down there and learn their process so that I don't have to reinvent the wheel. We've invested hundreds and hundreds of thousands. We're approaching $1 million on training, and compressing time is what some of the mentors call it. You can compress 10 years worth of learning into a week if you want, if you find the right people and you just pay them for their knowledge.
Absolutely. And that's really what I did when I found the Lead Ninja system 10 years ago, whatever the date was. I absorbed it. I bought into it. I paid for your training. I had you out. And I was probably my greatest student. I put the effort in, and I learned every bit of it so that I could turn around and be the teacher for those people. And I've trained hundreds, maybe it's 500. I may have trained 500 people just in my own company through 20 years. But having that system was an incredible start and an incredible way to replicate my process through people. And again, that was the leverage. I enjoyed the leverage. That's what I believe made our company successful, is not any one person who just came in and was a superstar. Is we were able to replicate. And I had a funny statement, right or wrong. I said, brought you into this world, I'll take you out and make another one just like you. So
was that a Bill Cosby?
That was Bill Cosby way back when. Is brought you into this world,
and I'll take you.
If I had a young kids had an attitude, and look, everything I taught to you. So I brought you into this world, taught you everything, and I'll take you out and I'll make another one just like you. I can go train the next guy more than I have to be held hostage by my employees. Now, I wasn't a mean boss, but I certainly, there was a time in which you just had to realize that you can't be held hostage by your employees. And a process does that for you.
For sure, man. It's the only reason that I was able to add a new truck and a new technician every quarter for 5 years before I sold my company, and cash, right? It was because we had a process that printed money. So guys, if you need help with that, there's a couple different ways you can get help with it. You can come out to our event in December in Florida and get some sunshine with us and stay in a 16,000 square foot mansion with us. And we'll give you the process. We'll have an implementation day at the end to make sure that you know exactly what to do when you go back. So you can literally go back and start firing. I've been to many, many sales trainings in the past. And my biggest complaint is that they don't have an implementation day. Right. And Don was the one that came up with the idea for us to have an implementation day. But have you ever went to a sales training and came back and not known where to start? And because you don't know where to start, you really don't do anything. That's going to be a thing of the past when you come to one of our events, because we're actually going to spend that time with you to make sure that you're ready to go back and implement right away. And then the second way to do that is to get involved in our live mastermind, which we were talking to Jay Hall this morning about that. He's been in for about, 40 days or so. And we worked with him last Tuesday on nibbling. And he literally went out the very same day on his very next call and turned what was going to be a $500 ticket into a $7,000 ticket. And I think he ended up making $860 off of it, not including his hourly wage, right? So that's what a pre-planned process and a pre-planned strategy can do for you. I mean, we've got success story after success story after success story. So if you want to go a little bit slower, and maybe let's say you don't have the cash to come to one of the live events, you can get into our mastermind, which is Tuesdays and Thursdays before this show. And we work with you one-on-one in a group setting. And there's a whole training syllabus for you to get certified through our program. So it's a little bit slower method, but it's more accessible for more people because it's cheaper up front.
Right.
So if you want info on that, put mastermind down in the comments or put live class down in the comments, and we'll have somebody reach out to you and get you the information you want, or shoot me a text right now. All right. My cell number is on the screen. It's 239-848-6533, 239-848-6533. Shoot me a text. Give me your name. Say, hey, listen, this is what I need help with. And we'll schedule a time for either myself or one of my team members to have a conversation with you, and we'll get you the information that you need. So, Don, what do you want to add to this before we wrap everything up?
Well, the training brought this idea up, and that is you're paying for it whether you get it or not. If you can bring that phrase into your sales process, you're really paying for it whether you get it or not. When you're talking to a client about their wasted energy from their duct leakage or from the system operating and pulling too much electricity and running their power bill up, when you can do some math and show them that they're paying for it whether they get it or not, that's a powerful phrase. And I'll tell you, for the mastermind training, you're paying for Gene and myself and coming on all those lost sales. There was obviously those couple of stories. One idea from the Tuesday class went out and made an extra $800 for himself.
And now he'll be able to do that on each and every call. He'll be able to now that extra $800, that was a huge nibble. That was more of a bite, right?
Yeah.
What normally happens is guys will get a $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 ticket, and then they'll add another $800, $1,500 to it with a nibble. He did the reverse. And that lady was selling her house.
Yeah, Josh was the same way on that story this morning too. He started with 2,500 or somewhere in that range, and nibbled the whole list before it was over with.
And that's the lady that said, "Don't give me any shit."
I don't want to hear that. I want to bring up that subject too. Is if you're getting business owners, managers, you're getting complaints that all you guys want to do is sell me something every time you come out here. That is because, one, you guys aren't following a process. But two, they're not asking permission before they just puke this information all over the customer. If you want to get rid of that stigma that all you guys want to do is try to sell me something every time you come out here, then you've got to slow down the process and you've got to ask if they want to know a solution. Would you like to know what our other clients do when we run in this situation? That is powerful, where their client is now asking you to sell them stuff, show them stuff, not you just saying, I need to share this with you. I want to share this with you. It's them drawing it out of you. Big difference if you want the right culture and the right reviews for your company. If you're a manager or owner and you're starting to get those complaints, it means your guys are selling. They're just they're just being very pushy salespeople.
Don was talking about how you're paying for this, whether you get it or not. I like to rephrase it when I'm with my clients and say, can you see now why I say that you're paying for this, whether you get it or not? And so going back to our example, we can talk about one more guy, and that's Billy B. I won't say his last name right now on this podcast, but Billy came to us last July, I think it was, and off of our free content, he was already up to like 2.7 million in sales and making about $250,000, right? He's been in the business for almost a little over 2 years now, like probably 26 months. And since last year to then, now he just broke the $5 million mark yesterday, $5,020,000. I think he's tracking for $6 million and about 550,000 or so in income. So if Billy hadn't come to the class, it would have cost him $300,000 in income. And he so far has paid our company somewhere in the neighborhood of $12,500. So $12,500, and is making an extra $300 minimum. It's over $300,000 additional income per year. So you tell me, was Billy paying for the class, whether he got it or not? How much would it have cost Billy not to take the class? It would have cost him over $300,000 in income.
You know, the funny thing about that story is he's a service tech that can sell equipment. He's not just being a comfort advisor being fed leads.
Yep.
He's a service tech. And the amusing thing, if I can say this, is that I still hear him complain that he's not getting the good leads.
Yeah.
Right. He has not got a Glengarry yet, if y'all know what a Glengarry is, right? He's not got a Glengarry lead yet. He's not getting the good leads. These
are the Glengarry leads.
So that's the funny story is to do 5 million so far this year, or whatever, a little over 5 million so far this year, with the attitude that I'm not getting the good leads. Somebody else in his company is getting the good leads. Now, I'll tell you, from an owner standpoint, there's probably are no good leads, because they're just leads. They're just customers. They're just people. We have to go make them into good leads. That's the point that really the sales process will do, is that there's so many times people want to say, come on and tell a success story. And they go, I don't really want to tell the success story because it was so easy. It was like a layup. I call it a layup. You call it a lay down, just a simple shot, and, just something easy. And you're like, were you aware that the process is what creates layups, right? The process creates it. You will get that situation where you feel like people are just buying from you when you follow the process so much more. When you have a pre-planned presentation, I'm certainly very biased that this is the one that everybody in my company would use. And someday again, if I get to go back into business again, this is the program all of my maintenance techs, service techs will use, and my comfort advisors as well through this process. We have a comfort advisor class and a service maintenance class, 2 separate classes this time in December. What are the dates again, Gene, down at the mansion?
So for the technicians and selling technicians, it's going to be December 1st through the 5th in Orlando. December 1st and December 5th are your travel days. Okay, so you'll show up on the 1st at about 6 p.m. You'll check out by 10 a.m. on the 5th. Then there's a high ticket and comfort advisor class. So if you're a selling tech and you want more comfort advisor training, you can come to that one. That one's 1 day shorter. It's the 6th through the 9th. So the 6th and the 9th are your travel days on that one. Shoot, there was something else I was going to say. We're going to have to wrap up here pretty quick, Don. But what the heck was I going to say?
The tease about the most, you can make the quickest and easiest money in this business with negotiating or the nibbling now. And if you're not doing that, you're going to want to listen to this.
Yeah, and you're going to want to do it on everything. Brittany and I were having an election party here on the 5th, and we've got an event company that brings over tables and stuff like that, and they sent us an invoice for $407.69, I think it was. And what does Brittany do immediately? Emails them back and goes, could we do a little bit better than that, please? And within like 10 minutes, they emailed back and they gave her like another $47 off or something like that. It took her 30 seconds to make $47, right? So Don's right. You'll never make more money than you'll make when you're negotiating. And we're going to be going over negotiating tactics and strategies at that comfort advisor event. We won't be doing that at the technician event as much, but the comfort advisor event, we sure will. So guys, if you want more information on that, put Mansion down in the comments. If you want to get pricing and everything on that live event, we are selling out. And if you want more information on the Tuesday and Thursday trainings, just put Mastermind down in the comments. Guys, if you have enjoyed the show, we appreciate you sharing it with everybody else. If you're on Spotify or an Apple podcasts, please go over and give us a review. It would mean the world to us if you'd click those 5 stars and just give us a sentence or two about what this has done for you inside of your career. We're hearing it all the time when we go out in public, Don, but it sure is nice to get those text messages for encouragement on a daily basis. So I appreciate you guys. We got to tune out, Don, because I got to rock and roll.
Great to see you again, Gene. We'll talk again on the next podcast.
Share the show, guys. We appreciate you. Have a great day.
Bye, guys. Good luck.